Patel is here, HS Patel, Managing Director, Dakshin Gujarat, Which Company Limited. Welcome, sir. May I request Sanjay Karnadar to be here? He is here. From MNRE, he is representing the MNRE, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India. May I request Mr. Bikram Singh, Assistant Vice President, Business Development. He is here. Okay. Mr. M.B. Joshi, you are here. Mr. Hetal Mehta is here. I think all of us are here. I hope we have not missed anybody. I extend a very warm welcome. We are now beginning the India Power and Energy Conclave, which is being organized in synchronous with the Energy Expo 2013. And I'm very thankful to the city of Surat for motivating us at Inertia and Renewable Energy Promotion Association. And may I thank again Saurabh Patel for being kind enough when we went and requested him to help us out and to inaugurate this national discussion over here. We have been discussing, Inertia has been discussing all over the country, and I think the first national conclave, because we have been doing the seminars and media related interactions, but if you ask me, this is the first ever national conclave. I'll be discussing a lot about what were the difficulties, and yet I am thankful to Gujarat that I am here. May I now first request the Minister to come over and help us in the lighting of the lamp. Start everything, may we also request our team over there to please welcome our Honorable Minister with a bouquet, please. And also, please bring the small mementos that we have for the Honorable Minister, please.
Still.
Please give a big hand. And a memento for him, special memento for him in Surat. They are our main sponsor. May now also request the bouquets kindly for our guest from MNRE and a memorabilia for him, please. May I have one more bouquet for Shri P.H. Rana, our senior officer who has always led Gujarat in the past. May I request one more for our friend from Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam Limited, Mr. Joshi. May I also have the memento for him. And please let us bring the mementos for our friends, Vikram. And a memento for Mayank, please. Mr. Mayank Dalal. Please give a big hand to him. मिनिस्टर साहब को फिर से थैंक यू करूँगा कि वो इधर आए. मैं चाहूँगा कि मंत्री साहब पहले आएँ और वो हमें एड्रेस करें. श्री सौरभ पटेल, Minister for Energy and Petrochemicals, Government of Gujarat, and I will tell you, in my opinion, he is the best power minister of the country.
Dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasure to be here in this session where energy security for India is going to be discussed in detail. I ask the organizers to allow me to speak first, as I wanted to leave for Ahmedabad. If you look at the energy sector, since last many years, we are passing through bad times, the country as a whole. all governments at the center are trying to work out solutions for the states to come out from the existing issues. But unfortunately, the political will is not there at the center, nor it is there in different parts of the country. And hence, what do we see right now? Non-availability of power, load shedding, non-availability of fuel, I would like to address certain issues which are facing the country as a whole today. Number one issue which is facing the country is, to be very honest, it is policy paralysis of the central government. And I will give you reasons why there is policy paralysis. There is no decision being taken in the energy sector since last many years. Whether it is the issue of fuel, whether it is the issue of availability of plant and machinery, whether it is the issue of rising cost. Since years, the energy department, the petroleum department, the coal department, the railways are not being able to come out with a common policy for the energy sector, resulting in that first time all the private producers in the country, starting from J.R.D. Tata to Anil Ambani to all the topmost industrial houses, in one single day together met the Prime Minister, met the Finance Minister, met the Coal Minister, met the Energy Minister, the Petroleum Minister, and gave them idea of how to resolve the issues. This has happened a year back. First time it has happened. આજે વિચાર કરો કે 10-12 ઉદ્યોગપતિ દેશના એક સાથે ભેગા થાય અને બધાને મળે અને કહે છે કે અમારા બધા પ્રોજેક્ટો બંધ થઈ જવાના છે જો તમે આટલું નહીં કરો તો. અને હકીકતમાં પરિસ્થિતિ એવી છે. હજારો કરોડો રૂપિયાનું મૂડીરોકાણ થયું છે. 15,000 થી 20,000 મેગાવોટ ઓલરેડી ઇન્સ્ટોલ થઈ છે, પાઇપલાઇનમાં છે અને એના પ્રશ્નો ઉકેલાયા નથી. પહેલો ઇસ્યુ ફ્યુલ છે. કોલ ઇન્ડિયા કોલસાની ખાણો આપી, કેવી રીતે આપી મારે જવું નથી એમાં. એની પાછળ તો મોટો કોલ સ્કેમ થઈ ગયો. આપ્યા પછી એન્વાયરમેન્ટવાળા એન્વાયરમેન્ટ ક્લિયરન્સ ના આપે. એ વખતના મંત્રીશ્રી ગો ને નો ગોમાં બહાર ના નીકળ્યા. એ તો નીકળી ગયા. પ્રધાનમંત્રીને એમ થયું કે ભાઈ એમને આપણે ટ્રાન્સફર કરીશું તો પ્રશ્નનો ઉકેલ આવશે. આજે 1-1.5 વર્ષ થયું. આજની તારીખમાં કોલ ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટમાંથી એક બી એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ કોલ માઇન્સ ઓફિશિયલી અપાયેલી એની એન્વાયરમેન્ટ ક્લિયર નથી આવતા. હવે આટલા મોટા દેશની અંદર તમે ફ્યુલ જેવા વિષયની અંદર ડોમેસ્ટિક કોલની આપણે જે એસેટ ગણી શકીએ, જો એનો લાભ ન લઈ શકતા હોય તો આપણે પાવર સેક્ટર ગણો કે ઇન્ડસ્ટ્રી ગણો કે સ્ટીલ ગણો કે ફર્ટિલાઇઝર ગણો, જ્યારે ફ્યુલ સૌથી અગત્યનું છે, એ કેવી રીતે એમનો રસ્તો બહાર કાઢશે? શક્ય જ નથી. હજુ સુધી આજની તારીખમાં પાર્લામેન્ટમાં આખા સ્કેમને બીજાને ઉડાડવાની કોશિશ થઈ રહી છે. બીજું, કોલ ઇન્ડિયા એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ માઇન્સનું પ્રોડક્શન નથી વધારી શકતું. તમે વિચાર કરો કે એક બાજુ કોલ ઇન્ડિયા છે, કોલસો આપે છે, ABCD કેટેગરીથી પેલા પ્રાઇસિંગ હતું, વધારે ભાવ લેવા માટે કેલોરીફિક વેલ્યુ પર ચેન્જ કર્યું, એ બી બધી યુટિલિટીઝ આપવાનું નક્કી કર્યું, અને એ છતાં ક્વોલિટી ઓફ કોલમાં ઇમ્પ્રૂવ ના થાય અને કોલસાના વેગન્સની અંદર પથ્થરો આવે અને પથ્થરોનું પેમેન્ટ કરવાનું હોય. આ છે આપણી કોલ ઇન્ડિયાની એફિશિયન્સી. રાજ્ય તો જગડી ના શકે. NTPC એ બાયો ચડાય એની સામે, અને NTPC કીધું કે અમે તમને પૈસા નથી આપવાના. બંને સેન્ટ્રલ ગવર્મેન્ટ કંપની કોલ ઇન્ડિયા કેમ તમને કોલસો ઓફર બંધ કરી દઈશું. તમે વિચાર કરો, એક સરકાર, બે વિભાગ, કોલ વિભાગ, એનર્જી વિભાગ, એક જ સરકારી કંપનીઓ અને બેના સંકલનની. આ ક્વેશ્ચન પીએમઓ સુધી જાય, પ્રધાનમંત્રી નિર્ણય લેવો પડે. આ એવો વિષય છે. આ પ્રમાણેનું આજની તારીખમાં દિલ્હીની અંદર કામકાજ ચાલે છે. ત્રીજું ઇમ્પોર્ટેડ કોલ. ઇમ્પોર્ટેડ કોલની અંદર દરિયાકાંઠાને લાભ થાય. કેન્દ્ર સરકારે નીતિ કરી કે ભાઈ આટલા ટકા બધાએ કોલ લેવાનો. ગુજરાતને 2-5 રાજ્યો કોલ ઇમ્પોર્ટ કરે, બીજા કોલ ઇમ્પોર્ટ ના કરે. હાલના પાવર પ્રોજેક્ટ્સની અંદર ફ્યુલ ન મળવાના કારણે એને પ્લાન્ટ લોડ ફેક્ટર ઓછો ચલાવવો પડે. આ પરિસ્થિતિ ફ્યુલની અંદર છે. કેન્દ્ર સરકારે નક્કી કર્યું કે ભાઈ આપણે કોલમાં પુલિંગ ઓફ પ્રાઇસીસ કરીશું. દાખલા તરીકે ડીઝલ અને પેટ્રોલ. તો આપણા ત્યાં દેશની અંદર ગુજરાત સૌથી મોટું પેટ્રોલિયમ રિફાઇનરીનું હબ કહી શકાય. આખા દેશમાં સૌથી વધારે ક્રૂડ ઇમ્પોર્ટ થતું હોય તો ગુજરાતમાં થાય છે. એ ક્રૂડને રિફાઇન કરી અને સૌથી વધારે પેટ્રોલિયમ પ્રોડક્ટ બનતું હોય તો ગુજરાતમાં થાય છે. પરંતુ અમદાવાદ અને કેરેલાના ભાવ સરખા. આપણને કંઈ લાભ નથી. કોલસામાં પુલિંગ ઓફ પ્રાઇસ કરી અને કંઈ વિચાર કરવાનો નિર્ણય કર્યો કે ભાઈ ઇમ્પોર્ટેડ કોલ જે આવતા દિવસોમાં જરૂરિયાત છે, એ ઇમ્પોર્ટેડ કોલ ખૂબ મોટા પ્રમાણમાં આપણે ઇમ્પોર્ટ કરીએ અને ડોમેસ્ટિક કોલ નજીકના લોકોને આપીએ, ઇમ્પોર્ટેડ કોલ દરિયાકાંઠાને આપીએ અને પ્રાઇસ એવા મેચ કરીએ કે જેથી આખા દેશની અંદર પ્રાઇસ એક સરખો રહે. કમિટી બનાવી. કમિટીએ પોઝિટિવ રિપોર્ટ આપ્યો. કેબિનેટના મંત્રીશ્રીઓ બેઠા. તમે કલ્પના કરો, કેબિનેટમાં જાય છે અને નિર્ણય લીધા વગર પાછું આવે છે. હવે નુકસાન કોને? રાજ્યોને નુકસાન છે. તમે કોલસા વગર વીજળીના મથકો કેવી રીતે ચલાવશો? એટલે કોલસાના પ્રશ્ન, બીજી બાજુ ગેસ. પેટ્રોનેટ LNG એક જ છે આપણે જે ઇમ્પોર્ટ કરે છે, જે કતારથી ગેસ લાવે છે. અને જાપાનમાં ન્યુક્લિયર એક્સપ્લોઝન થવાથી ન્યુક્લિયર પ્રોજેક્ટ્સ બંધ હોવાના કારણે આખા જાપાનની અંદર બધા જ પ્રોજેક્ટો બંધ થઈ ગયા અને ગેસ બેઝ પ્રોજેક્ટ ચાલુ થઈ ગયા. અને જેવા ગેસ બેઝ પ્રોજેક્ટ ચાલુ થયા ને એટલે દુનિયામાં ગેસના ભાવના ભડકો થઈ ગયો. આજે 10, 11, 12, 13, $14 MMBTU ગેસ મંગાવો ઇમ્પોર્ટેડ, અને એના પર પાવર પ્રોજેક્ટ ચલાવવાનું શક્ય નથી. આજે માત્ર વેરિયેબલ કોસ્ટ 7 થી 8 રૂપિયા પડે છે. બીજી બાજુ કેન્દ્ર સરકારની ગેસની પોલિસીમાં બી સ્ટેબિલિટી નથી. 5 સેક્ટર ડિફાઇન કર્યા કે આ 5 સેક્ટરને આપવું. ફર્ટિલાઇઝર સેક્ટરને આપવાનું નક્કી કર્યું, પાવર સેક્ટર નક્કી કર્યું. પણ અનફોર્ચ્યુનેટલી આ જે કોઈ નિર્ણય લીધો એ કેજી બેઝિસ માટે લીધો. બીજો ડોમેસ્ટિક ગેસ જે APM ગેસ છે કે બીજો ઉત્પાદન PNP ગેસ છે એના પર નિર્ણય નથી લઈ શકતા. અને એ ખૂબ મોટો સસ્તો ગેસ, ચીપર ગેસ ઉદ્યોગો બંધાય છે. એટલે એટ ધ કોસ્ટ ઓફ the people of this country, the industries are benefited by getting cheaper gas. આ નીતિ છે. અને ઇન નિયર ફ્યુચર કોઈ નવું પ્રોડક્શન ઇમિડિયેટલી એટલું મોટું આવવાનું દેખાતું નથી કે જે હાલની એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ પાવર સેક્ટરની રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ્સને પૂરી કરી શકે. આપણા ત્યાં 4000 મેગાવોટ વીજળીના કારખાના બંધ છે. 4000 મેગાવોટ ગેસના. આખા દેશમાં કેટલા હજાર મેગાવોટ જસ્ટ બીકોઝ ઓફ નોન અવેલેબિલિટી ઓફ ગેસ આ બધું બંધ રહ્યું છે. અને અમે કેન્દ્ર સરકારને સૂચન કર્યું કે ભાઈ ઇમ્પોર્ટ કરો, આ બધા કારખાના ચલાવો અને આખા દેશના બાસ્કેટની અંદર એમાં બધો જ આ પાવર આવી જાય. એનટીપીસી બી આવી જાય, સ્ટેટ યુટિલિટીઝ બી આવી જાય, ન્યુક્લિયર આવી જાય, હાઇડ્રો આવી જાય, બધું આવી જાય. એ બાસ્કેટમાં નાખી દો તો એ બાસ્કેટમાં નાખશો તો 10,000 મેગાવોટ તમારે વધશે. એમાં એલોકેટેડ કોટા, નોન એલોકેટેડ કોટા બધું આવી જાય. એવો કડક તમે નિર્ણય લો તો બધા રાજ્યની ઇક્વલ ભાગીદારીની અંદર તમારે વીજળીના એટલા ભાવ વધી જશે. આજે 1 લાખ મેગાવોટની અંદર 10,000 મેગાવોટ જાય તો બાકીના 90,000 મેગાવોટ એનો લોડ લઈ શકે તો ઇક્વલ ફૂટિંગ થાય. આ 1-1.5 વર્ષથી પ્રપોઝલ આપી છે, ચર્ચા કરવા નથી બોલાય. એટલે આખા દેશમાં ગુજરાત છે, મહારાષ્ટ્ર છે, આંધ્ર છે, આ બધી જગ્યાએ અને બીજા 2-3 હજાર મેગાવોટ ગુજરાતની અંદર તૈયાર પ્લાન્ટ છે પણ કમર્શિયલ ઓપરેશન નથી કરી શકતા. ધ ઓનલી રીઝન ઇઝ કે ગેસ નથી. એટલે ફ્યુલ ઇઝ વન ઓફ ધ મોસ્ટ ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ ઇશ્યુઝ ફેસિંગ ધ કન્ટ્રી as far as generation is concerned. An immediate solution to this is not seen in the country. આપણે we are much more fortunate કે આજની તારીખમાં જનરેશનની અંદર આપણે ઓલરેડી 18,000 મેગાવોટ કન્વેન્શનલ છે, 4,000 નોન કન્વેન્શનલ છે. 18,000 કન્વેન્શનલમાંથી 4,000 ગેસ કાઢ નાખો તો બી 14,000 મેગાવોટ છે. 14,000ની સામે 11,500 મેગાવોટનું આપણે રિક્વાયરમેન્ટ ગણો, સરપ્લસ કેપેસિટી છે. અને આવતા 2 વર્ષની અંદર 2,500 મેગાવોટ કેપેસિટી બીજી આવી રહી છે. અને 2017 સુધીમાં કુલ કેપેસિટી જે 18,000 મેગાવોટ છે એમાં 7,000નો ઉમેરો કરી એટલે આવતા 4 વર્ષની અંદર 18,000 મેગાવોટની 25,000 મેગાવોટની કેપેસિટી પહોંચવાની છે. એટલે વી આર મચ બેટર ઓફ. તો 25,000માંથી ગેસ કાઢી નાખો તો 5-6,000 ગેસ નીકળી જાય તોય વી કેન વેરી સેફલી સે કે કોલસાના આધારિત અને લિગ્નાઇટ આધારિત પ્લાન્ટો આપણી પાસે 18-19,000 મેગાવોટ રહેવાના છે. પણ કોસ્ટ ઓફ ફ્યુલ કમ્પેરેટિવલી વિલ બી ડિપેન્ડન્ટ મોર ઓન ઇમ્પોર્ટેડ કોલ. એના કારણે કોસ્ટ ઓફ ફ્યુલ બી સ્લાઇટલી હાયર. એટલે આ નીતિ મેં આપને કેન્દ્ર સરકારની એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ ફ્યુલ જે મેઇન ઇસ્યુ છે એના વિશે વાત કરી. બીજા 2-3 ઇસ્યુઝ વિચ આર વેરી વેરી ઇમ્પોર્ટન્ટ અને વિચ આર ફેસિંગ ધ કન્ટ્રી એઝ ઓન ટુડે એ છે ફાઇનાન્શિયલ સ્ટેબિલિટી ઓફ ધ સ્ટેટ્સ. આજે સ્ટેટ્સ પાસે પૈસા જ નથી વીજળી ખરીદવાનું. તમે કલ્પના કરો કે આજે ગુજરાત પાસે સરપ્લસ વીજળી છે અને કોઈ લેના નથી. તમે કોઈ બી સ્ટેટમાં પાવર મિનિસ્ટરને કહો તો કે બધાને કે ભાઈ મોકલી આપો ને વીજળી જોઈએ છે, ત્યાં 6-6 કલાક બંધ, 8-8 કલાકમાં, 12-12 કલાક બંધ. પરંતુ જ્યારે ખરીદવાની વાત આવે ત્યારે અધિકારીઓ શું કહે છે? મોકલવી હોય તો મોકલો, બટ વી ડોન્ટ હેવ ધ મની, વીલ પે યુ એનેબલ. એટલે પેએબલ એનેબલ એલસી ખોલવાની વાત જ કરતા. અને આજે અનેક રાજ્યો છે, યુપી જેવા રાજ્યોની અંદર તો 2,500-3,000 કરોડ રૂપિયા વીજળીના બિલો બાકી છે. આ તો એક દાખલો આપું છું. કોઈ બી રાજ્ય બાકી નથી કે જેના વીજળીના બિલો નથી બાકી ના હોય. એટલે કોલસા ખરીદવાના પૈસા ના હોય, વીજળી ખરીદવાના પૈસા ના હોય, એટલે લોડ શેડિંગ કરે આવા દેશમાં 80% રાજ્યો છે. હવે એ વ્યાજના બર્ડનમાંથી જ બહાર નીકળી નથી શકતા. લોસીસ એટલા બધા થઈ ગયા છે. અને સ્ટેટ ગવર્મેન્ટ એટલો સપોર્ટ કરતા નથી બિકોઝ એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ પરફોર્મન્સ જે પેરામીટર્સ જોઈએ એ પેરામીટર્સમાં સુધારો નથી આવતો. એટલે આજની તારીખમાં આપણે જ્યારે વાત કરતા હોઈએ ને કે વીજળીનું કન્ઝમ્પશન આટલું વધવાનું છે, આટલું વધવાનું છે, આટલું વધવાનું છે, આપણે વાતો કરીએ આખા દેશની અંદર, પણ ઇન રિયાલિટી કન્ઝમ્પશન ક્યારે વધે? પહેલું કે ફાઇનાન્શિયલ સ્ટેબિલિટી હોય, સ્ટેટ કરાવડાવે, સેન્ટર સ્કીમ આપે, બેંકો મદદ કરે, વોટ એવર ઇટ ઇઝ, પણ આપણા ઘરમાં આપણા ખિસ્સામાં રૂપિયો હોય તો ખરીદી કરે નીકળાય. પવન આજે બહુ સારો આવ્યો તો 10 મિલિયન યુનિટ આવ્યા. આખું ગ્રાફ ડિમાન્ડ સપ્લાયનો મેચ કરવો પડે અને બીજે દિવસે સીધું 10 ના 2 મિલિયન થઈ જાય એટલે 8 મિલિયન સિસ્ટમમાંથી નીકળી જાય. હવે 8 મિલિયન સિસ્ટમ ઓવરનાઇટ લાવવા ક્યાંથી? આઈધર એક્સચેન્જમાંથી ખરીદવું પડે કે ઇમિડિયેટલી ગેસના સ્ટેશનો ચાલુ કરવા પડે. એટલે 2-3% વેરિએશન થાય ત્યાં સુધી સિસ્ટમ કેન એબ્ઝોર્બ, પણ ઇફ ઇટ ઇઝ મોર then it is very difficult to manage the load dispatch center. Solar, yes, positively it has a very bright future. Technology આવશે એટલે ભાવ ઘટશે. સોલરની અંદર it is very comparatively much easier કે કેટલી વીજળી આપણને કાલે મળવાની છે આપણે અત્યારે કહી શકીએ છીએ, અને એમાં વેરિએશન કમ્પેરેટિવલી ખૂબ ઓછું હોય છે. એટલે એવા પ્રશ્નો સોલરમાં ઉકળતા નથી, પણ આઈ એમ શ્યોર કે નવી ટેકનોલોજી આવશે એટલે ભાવ ઘટશે, અને ભાવ ઘટશે એટલે આ બધા ફ્યુલના ઇસ્યુ ધીમે ધીમે દૂર થવાના છે. એટલે ધીસ ઇઝ સમથિંગ વિચ વી આર ઓલ અવેટિંગ કે ભાઈ દિવસે ને દિવસે ભાવ ઘટતા જાય, અને આજની તારીખમાં 8-8.5 રૂપિયાના ભાવ તો આવી ગયા છે, પણ જે દિવસે થોડું કરેક્શન એમ આવશે તો લાંબા ગાળે કોલસાના ભાવ તો વધવાના જ છે, ફ્યુલના ભાવ વધવાના છે, ટ્રાન્સપોર્ટેશનના ભાવ વધવાના છે. આ બધાના ભાવો વધશે એ વખતે સોલરની ડિમાન્ડ આખા દેશની અંદર ખૂબ સારી વધવાની છે. અને ગુજરાતની અંદર સૂર્યનો પ્રકાશ સારો હોવાના કારણે will always be an advantage in generating solar in this state. બીજું આજે ઘણા બધા ડિસ્કશન થશે અને આઈ એમ શ્યોર અમારા ઘણા સ્ટાફના ભાઈઓ બેઠા છે તો દે વિલ લર્ન ઓફ વોટ ઇઝ હેપનિંગ ઇન ધ કન્ટ્રી, એન્ડ સચ ડિસ્કશન્સ બાય સચ ફોરમ્સ ઓલવેઝ હેલ્પ. એકાદ નવો આઈડિયા આવી જાય તો ઇટ ઓલવેઝ ક્લિક્સ. બીજા રાજ્યો શું કરે છે એની બી થોડી માહિતી આવી જાય તો યુ કેન ઇમ્પ્લિમેન્ટ ધ સેમ ઇન યોર સ્ટેટ. અને Government of Gujarat, we are always ready for any change which is positive, because we believe that if we want to be the leader in the country, then we have to lead from all the fronts. And the energy sector is one where we have to show the nation of how to proceed. We have done it successfully, and I am sure we will do it also successfully in the future. Thank you.
We are launching the first ever national public-private white paper on the solar. Target 50 gigawatt solar by 2022. May I request please bring over quickly as the minister has less time. I request Setalbhai and everybody to come. Please give a big hand. May I now request Mr. P.H. Rana, former director of technical of GUVNL and a person who has seen the energy sector to address us today.
For that purpose, these interconnecting roads are provided. there was natural nala was available. So natural nala, you can see in the photograph inset, the natural nala was there, but then now we have dressed it up and then proper concreting etc. is done. So there is no seepage of water in that area. There was a small reservoir also available. You can see we have deepened it and then properly dressed up. So that this storage of water takes place whenever there is a good rain, the water storage takes place. And this is a water pipeline. As I mentioned, the pipeline, this panels needs cleaning almost every second day. So for that, good water is available, required. And that's why the water availability has to be ensured. Suppose if it doesn't rain, then reservoir will not have any water. And then we have to make the arrangement. So that's why we have made this arrangement for Sardar Sarovar, about 32 kilometers away, and we have put the pipeline, and then it comes to this place, and then the washing is arranged. Now, if you see the infrastructure, what was the condition before, and what is the condition afterwards? This is the development that has taken place in solar. Similarly, in the reservoir also, if you see the left hand side, it was a depression that was there, but now we have probably dressed it up and then created a good infrastructure here. Now the nala also, culverts also was like this, and then we have probably, because the roads etc., we have provided a better culvert area. So this is the transmission line. Earlier it was 11 kV, now we have provided 220 kV switch yard in that area. Now we say unique feature of this one is the, we have to pick up the power from individual places, and that's why if everyone draws a line, then there will be a shadow problem, because each and every transmission line cannot be allowed. So that's why we have gone for underground. And when you draw the underground cabling, 66 kV, 1 kilometer cost 1 crore rupees. And that's why 3-4 developers generation is clubbed in one circuit, and it is brought to this testing. That's why it's out of 21, instead of 21 cables, we have laid only 6 cables and then 6 circuits. That is bringing power to the 220 kV substation. This is a unique feature of these things. So you see now this is the canal as I was talking. From that canal we have laid a pipeline, and then we have brought it to this thing. Now this is a hybriding, because we wanted to study what is the effect of wind energy in this area also. So for experiment 2.1 megawatt, 2 windmills are installed here, and we are getting this generation. And there is no adverse effect we have found in this area. So this social commitment also is there. So if you see on the left side, what was the condition of the road? On the right hand side, there is a upliftment of the infrastructure in the road wise. Similarly, we are having social commitment, so we are providing medical facilities, we are providing the vocational training and all those things. The tangible benefits are the basic infrastructure development is there. Communal network, communication network has improved, the provision of the irrigation water, then development of the developers have invested almost 3,600 crores, the employment generation, then economic upliftment. And if you see the intangible, then the increase in the water conservation, then increase in the vegetation cover, then reduction in the desertation, this is carbon emission reduction, increase in the aesthetic value of the area, and the social upliftment. Now these are some of the challenges that we faced, because first the non-availability of the land. When we saw the government land, all the government land is having some patches of private land. And then since we wanted to start early, it was not possible to acquire those private land that easily. And that's why the plotting of government land was a big problem. But somehow the people were already committed, and that's why we wanted to give them, and that's how the plotting was done carefully. And then this is how we have done the plotting, so that the present developers are provided with the plots. So these are the area which I am showing is the government land, and that has been allocated. So in between you see there are some private land, so that's not possible, but somehow we have managed this. This was the first challenge. The second was the accessibility. The road was not connected properly, and then so there are two approaches. One was through Sadalpur and another was through Jamwala. So both the roads we have constructed right up to the project area, and that is how the connectivity is provided. Because during construction, almost 200 to 300 trailers were coming daily from Mumbai and other Kandla and so many other places. So the road connectivity was very important, and that's why this was provided. If you see the condition of road, what was there previously and subsequently. Now third was the availability of water, as I mentioned. You can see the blue line. Right from Sardar Sarovar Canal at Soneth, we have brought 32 kilometers, we have put a pumping station over there, and they are bringing the water right up to here. And they are bringing it to the reservoir and from the reservoir we are treating this water and the water treatment plant, and then we are providing to the developers. This is the reservoir where we are storing the water. The third ability was the evacuation of power. As I mentioned, the evacuation was a very difficult thing, but somehow GETCO got into the system, and then properly they divided the entire 21 developers into 6 groups, and then properly provided the cable connection 66 kV and connected to the 220 kV, which is again connected to the grid system.
Rana Sahab came both the times for the awards, and he received the award, and that is the type of situation, and I tell you, he has led the state very well in the electricity sector. It is officers like him who have tremendous respect, and I think I have our friend, let us welcome Ashwini Dhar from BHEL, who is along with us, ex-BHEL, and today he is also with us as Associate Director at REPA. He is also an advisor to Inertia Falcon Media. He is one of my oldest friends and wonderful gentleman. 30 years, he has seen the in and out of the PSUs in India, and a Gujarat lover. Please give a big hand. And after this, just Patel, in fact, I have no words to explain. You will come and see what we feel about him. Throughout this year, you will see. Believe me, he is in your own way, your Gujarat star at the center. You must appreciate what this gentleman has done. First to your city, and now surely to your electricity sector. So he is setting up further benchmarks. DGVCL has been leader, but when we have people like H.S. Patelji leading it, I can tell you there is no barrier. It's like the Sarje Bukka jump. I have to jump my own jump, 1 inch, then 1 inch, 1 inch. There is no need of challengers. Please welcome him for the keynote. H.S. Patel sir, Managing Director, Dakshin Gujarat Wijh Company Limited, sir. Please.
Dignitaries on the dais, in absentia, our Honorable Minister Sri Saurabh Patel and delegates. Actually, as such, in value chain or in a segment of electricity, the generation, transmission and distribution is the last. But again, in a value chain, the distribution is a very important because it has a multifaceted activities, function, where I have to deliver the keynote address. Actually, in fact, our minister has dealt almost and he has covered all the facets of the electricity sector. As a sector, what kind of issues are being faced as a country as a whole, and what is the future path also. It is a fact that the state government has taken various initiatives, and the Gujarat is the role model, more particularly in the electricity sector. Again, more particularly, I would like to say that the Inertia, though it's a NGO, but the kind of activity they are doing, that we know that either in the government or to a political executives, to form an opinion for the policy decision is very important. So, I must compliment and congratulate the Inertia for organizing this function at Surat. Now, I'll deliver the, what I can say, not a keynote address, but my views and address to the august audience. It's my pleasure and I feel honored myself to address many of the delegates, though they are from our organization. But to this gathering on India Power and Energy Conclave 2013, being organized by Inertia Foundation and Renewable Energy Promotion Association with the support of Falcon India, publishers of Inertia, Asia's premier journal on sustainable energy and power. It's also my pleasure to state that we at DGVCL have been the winners of the prestigious 6th Inertia Award 2012, as mentioned by Professor Iyer, for being India's best public sector utility in the distribution sector. We won the same award in the year 2008 as well. Let me state that in the recent past, Government of India instituted the ICRA rating for DISCOM, and DGVCL stood as number 1 utility in the country, endorsing the Energia Award. And we are proud to be recognized as India's number 1 utility as a distribution utility. Furthermore, I would like to mention that all the distribution companies of the Gujarat states are also rated at A+ by the credit rating agency. I must congratulate REPA and Energia Foundation for bringing very befitting this India Power and Energy Conclave 2030 to the city of Surat, as the city is the fast growing city of the world and has the accreditation of the cleanliest city of the country, arguably India's energy capital and the Gujarat financial powerhouse. We at DGVCL are the pride of Surat, except the 44 square kilometer where the torrent is also supplying power to the Surat city. As we have set certain by performance standard and efficiency among all the distribution sector companies in India, both public and private. After corporatization from the year 2005, we were also one of the state electricity board before the power sector reforms. And till the 2004-05, as our minister has also mentioned, that the Gujarat power sector was also incurring a huge loss. And because of the various initiatives taken by the unbundled utility as well as the political support from the government, and the various measures are like the renegotiation of PPAs, the reduction of interest rate, the transparent policy, which during GEB administration time it was also framed and subsequently it was revised. The purchase policy was also made transparent. And as I mentioned to you that working in a power sector, we also felt that as per the provision of Electricity Act, in Gujarat, the power sector is really apolitical. I must say that there is a least interference. That is the positive part. The DGVCL has made a profit since its formation, and we have consistently reduced the distribution losses to the level of 10.21. We have undertaken various projects of system improvement to ensure the reliable and quality power with a consumer-centric approach. As I mentioned to you that the major challenge for the distribution companies, the quality of power and the real taste of the distribution is company, even to give a affordable power to the consumer.
Speech by H.S. Patel ji. I want to really thank him for the support. I can tell you I want to just share with you guys something. You know, we faced terrific problem because we wanted to come to Gujarat and do this. I don't want to name the companies, but I must tell you that I saw that discrimination. I'm sorry to see that. You know, that we would have not been able to do the conclave without the French, so we must thank all of them. Co-partner Dakshin Gujarat Wijj Company Limited. Then associate partners at the top of the list is Gujarat Power Corporation Limited and GETCO, both Gujarat companies. Then Chennai company, which is a Japanese joint venture, Shin, has supported. BS Group, Enersys Astra, they are here. They are also displaying their smart grid technology here. So they are there. Green Billions, a leading manufacturer of solar in Gujarat with 45 megawatt of solar manufacturing. This company's solar panels have been rated the best according to US standards. So it is in your Gujarat only, the manufacturing. So the company is growing here. Gujarat Solar Park for sure, because if you do not recognize, they always be in my recognition list. The energy exchange, the only energy exchange in India, has supported us. I must also thank the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. We have Mr. Karnadar with us. Please give him a big hand for the support he has given to Gujarat. He is representing the Joint Secretary Solar, Tarun Kapoor, who is my excellent friend. You remember that Gujarat got all its awards at the hands of Dr. Farooq Abdullah. The Energy Awards were given. 7 awards were won by Gujarat in 22nd November 2012 at New Delhi. And that is a benchmark, you know. Like 7 awards to the state of Gujarat, including the Best State Award, you know. And Dr. Farooq Abdullah was kind enough to come, and he was very appreciative of the work Gujarat had done. Today, these gentlemen are not there, but Mr. Karnadar is there with us on behalf of the on behalf of the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Then we have support from IREDA, the Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, who has always been supportive of renewable initiatives. So they recognize the work done by Gujarat. And not the least, we have Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam Limited, who have been our eminent advertisers. They have helped us in our research. Today you must be seeing all that white paper we are distributing free of cost. You see the quality of print. No money comes when we do this kind of social work. So I always say, please support. And Adani Group, I must really say, they are also going through tough times many times, but a very powerful company. You'll see a lot of future. In the future, you'll see a lot of Adani in the country. I think they will be literally the leaders in the energy sector, if I'm not wrong, over the next 5 years. They will be taking the flagship position in the country. That's the kind of poised growth that they have. And Neowatt Energy, which is a company in the area of distribution technologies, who have supported us. Thank all of them that they have allowed and supported and be active participants in helping us to come and organize such a conclave in the city of Surat, and also to the Southern Gujarat Productivity Council and the Southern Gujarat Chamber that we are partnering them and we could bring such a discussion here. Thanks all of you once again. And before we go further, I wish to request Sanjay Karnadar, Senior Scientific Officer, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, to come over and address us here. We have already released saying 50 gigawatt solar is feasible. We need to know how 20 gigawatt is first feasible. Mr. Karnadar, please. Please give me.
Good afternoon to all of you. I would like to give a brief presentation on the Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission. Actually, our Joint Secretary Sir Tarun Kapoor was supposed to address this gathering, but then due to some emergencies he could not come and I had to come. Actually, this presentation that I am giving was meant for a banker's visit which I was supposed to attend in Jodhpur. So this is not directly addressed for this gathering, but I hope this will be throwing some light on our National Solar Mission. So looking at current scenario of the Indian power sector, we have nearly, you can see the installed capacity sector-wise, and as on today we have nearly 25,000 megawatt of renewable power installed in the country. So that amounts to approximately nearly 11-12% of the total installed capacity. And though these figures are of 28 Feb, and as on 31st March, as far as solar is concerned, we had nearly 1700 megawatt of grid solar power installed in the country. And this is just a general slide, so that indicating that we have a lot of potential for solar energy in the country, because means if all wasteland or barren land can be used for installation of grid solar power plants, we can generate 30 to 50 megawatt of solar power per square kilometer. So actually, as in the previous sessions, it has been said that the renewable energy is the only alternative to our energy shortage needs. So in the 12th 5-year plan, that is from 2012 to 2017, we have planned 30,000 megawatt of renewable energy addition. That is a quite high figure when you see the plan addition for the 12th plan for the Ministry of Power is only 70,000 megawatt. So now renewable energy is becoming quite comparable compared to the conventional sector. So this 30 gigawatt of plan addition capacity that is in the 12th plan, that we are planning to go 15,000 in wind, 10,000 in solar, and the remaining for other small hydro and biomass, biogas, etc. So as mentioned in the slide, on 13th June 2008, the Honorable Prime Minister had launched the National Action Plan on Climate Change. So that included 8 missions, and the backbone of this plan was the solar energy mission, that is the Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission. So that was launched in January 2010, and the main aims of the mission were to reduce the cost of the solar energy and develop indigenous manufacturing capability in the country. So you can see a snapshot of the launching of the National Solar Mission, and this is the mission roadmap. So whereby we expect to install 20,000 megawatt of grid solar power by the year 2022. And as I said that this is the strategy of the National Solar Mission. Along with that, to develop market for solar power, we have come up with things like RPO, that is Renewable Power Obligation, and REC mechanism. And as it says that to facilitate investment in solar energy, we have done things like we have got exemption from MOEF, so that those developers who want to set up solar power plants, they need not get environmental impact assessment. And plus the ministry is offering reduced custom duties and exemption from excise duties for initial setting up of solar power plants. So these are the key deliverables of the solar mission. And in solar mission, actually, as you can see in this slide, it was divided in 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So for the phase 1, we had target of 1100 megawatt of grid solar power. For phase 2, it was 10,000 of. Actually, at the launch of the mission, the target for the phase 2 was not firmed up. It was kept varying from 4,000 to 10,000. But now it has been firmed up to 10,000 megawatt for the second phase. So the projects for the first phase of the mission were allotted in 2 batches. Batch 1 was of 500 megawatt and batch 2 was of 500 megawatt. So you can see the progress of the missions. Except for the solar thermal power plants allotted under the National Solar Mission, we have achieved nearly 80-90%, means except for 10-15% of the projects, rest of all have been commissioned and are performing satisfactorily. And regarding phase 1 batch 2 projects, those were scheduled to be commissioned by Feb 2013, and as you can see, out of actually this is 290, not 390. So out of 350, we have got commissioned 290 megawatt projects. So this is the currently state-wise installed capacity overall in terms of grid solar power in the country. As you can see, the Gujarat figure is, I think actually it is 852, and the overall in the country is nearly 1700. So I congratulate Gujarat for accounting for nearly 50% of the total capacity in the country. And this slide gives you an idea of how we have rapidly grown up in solar energy sector in the last 3-4 years. In year 2008-9, there was hardly 3-4 megawatt installed in the country. I remember the first megawatt scale solar power plant was inaugurated in August 2009. Prior to that, we had no megawatt scale grid solar plant in the country. And at that time, the capital cost for the grid solar power plant was in excess of 20 crore per megawatt. So due to policy frameworks and the market created by the launch of the Jawaharlal Nehru Solar Mission and the state solar policies like by states of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and some states have not launched their solar policies, but they have invited bids for solar power like Orissa, Punjab, Bihar, etc. So means the thing is that a huge market has been created in the country for development of solar power. So you can see the installed capacity has risen from 3 megawatt in 2009 to currently nearly 1700 megawatt. And the tariff during that time, that is 2008-9, the initial tariff was nearly 18 rupees per unit. And the present CERC tariff for the year 2013-14 is actually 8.75 rupees per unit.